Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. This episode of Geek Tank Radio is brought to you by Godzilla Tabasco Sauce. Tastes like fire going in, burns even hotter going out.
No.
Light up your night with Godzilla Tabasco Sauce. Nope. Allan served that at his last dinner party. The hot wings, I didn't make it past the appetizer, Allan.
Wow.
You know, such a thing as scorched earth policy.
Well, hey, man, as we say, you have to suffer for your art. The culinary arts are part of the, part of the equation.
Yeah,
but
anyway. That's other people who suffer for your art. That you cook, they eat.
Yeah,
Whoa,
absolutely.
If they don't keel over, you eat what's left.
Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. Yeah, Joe Thorderson here with my buddies Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbert. And we have a special guest we're going to be introducing momentarily, Brandon. But here at
Hey, I'm not the one who put him in the corner and told him to be quiet. That was Allan.
Okay. Yeah. They have their own history too that we may or may not divulge. But here with the News Talk 98.9, The Roar's 100,000 watt tower. I still can't believe they handed us microphones and said you're going to be broadcast across 100,000 watts.
It's like, here, you're going to reach the sticks. It's going to be great.
So
you tested that out last weekend.
I did actually. Last week I was driving to Knoxville. I got out to Jackson and I was still listening to you guys.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I still heard it's a pretty powerful broadcast.
Well, you
signal.
kept saying, we're going to reach the outskirts. And I went, yeah, like Germantown, Collierville, Midtown.
Turns out to be a lot farther.
Yeah. So as the weeks unfold, we feel that it behooves us to continually reintroduce ourselves a little bit to all of our new listeners. And
true.
Central to, if you want an understanding of Geek Tank Radio, you have to have an understanding of the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention because that's where we all met. And so we're going to give a little bit of a history, and it actually leads very well into introducing our special guest.
It's true. It's I knew Allan before MCFC, but it was one of those things that's like, you want to stay away from that Gilbert guy.
Yeah.
He'll find a way to rope you into all these projects, and you'll never have another free moment or sleep again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And 12 years later, I'm still an insomniac.
Yeah. So we've got that coming at you, and Brandon's not letting us talk about Loki because
No.
he knows my feelings.
Look, I understand that people in our demographic were not that excited about it. It didn't turn out that great. And then to end on a cliffhanger when every other Marvel series so far has given us a really good wrap-up, it kind of leaves you going, really?
Well, Allan said it best. It's not a cliffhanger. It's like this is the list of movies you're going to be seeing here in the near
no,
future,
it's a cliffhanger because they slap you with, and Loki will return in season 2.
Right. Yeah.
The first Marvel series to get a season 2.
Yeah. So there's that, and then so I guess you've got a special guest coming in that fits within the demographic that they were going for.
I do, and hopefully we can have her in next week.
Okay.
So that we can get your disappointment out of the way, and then she can tell you why you might be wrong.
Okay.
I'm not going to disagree with her because, well, she's a former geek. Well, she's a geek mom, and we've worked with her before, and I know better.
Okay. And then later in the show, hopefully you guys, we can at least chime in on the What If trailer that came out. That's the new show coming up on Disney Plus. More reason that you're not going to cancel your subscription, and they're going to just keep getting money out of your wallet.
It's a really good thing that they finally dropped a trailer on this because they've been teasing this since before Disney Plus was a thing. This is coming. This is one of the reasons you want Disney Plus. You want to find out what would happen if T'Challa was Star-Lord. And it's like, okay, yeah, I really want to know this.
Yeah.
And then they're
what
like,
ifs are.
And they're like, but first, here's the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Here's Loki. Here's a bunch of Star Wars stuff you didn't know you needed in your life, but you do.
Yeah, Disney Plus is pretty much settled in where it's going to be, because every time it's like, I'll let this subscription lapse. It's like, nope. I gotta get this one.
And here's the thing: if you're only in it for the Marvel, you've got plenty. If you're only in it for the Star Wars, you've got plenty. But if you take a moment and watch some stuff like the Mysterious Benedict Society, and you're like, wait, this looked like a kid's show, and now I'm intrigued.
Oh,
Joe,
I want to watch it. Yeah,
I really think you would like it.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna weigh in on that later, but I feel like it's time to Brandon. I feel like you got to bring our guest up to the microphone.
Well, okay, all right. Well, we've been working with this gentleman for years at MCFC, and I like to think that we're a little bit of an inspiration to him as much as he has been to us.
A little bit, yeah. I would agree with that.
Guys, this is the incredible Josh Mason from Mason Studios.
How's it going, guys?
This is a gentleman who has directed Allan Gilbert. Do you know how hard it is to say that I got to tell Allan Gilbert to do something and he did it?
Yeah, that doesn't happen, people.
That doesn't happen.
Allan Gilbert, the best actor that I've ever worked with, simply because he's killed more people on screen than any other character in any of my films ever. So he still holds that record. What is it? This is like 7-8 years later, and you still got the record. So
I mean, you've done a Legend of Zelda thing since then.
I've done plenty since then. But.
Yeah, you're a big Michael Bay kind of guy.
But I'm a cyborg now.
Oh, that's true.
Picture what we could do now.
Oh, it's unlimited what we could do.
I mean, there is some true ravaging of the countryside that needs to happen.
Oh, hey, we make it happen.
So Josh, destruction and mayhem are your bread and butter. That's what you look for in your cinema, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So, for those that don't know me, I'm the owner of Mason Studios. I've been making independent films, fan films, music videos, TV commercials, anything you can think of for about 15 years now. And it's been a ton of fun. I've had a lot of fun with it, and that's actually how I got kind of hooked up with some of you guys through MCFC. Our mutual friend, Tanya Van de Steek, kept telling me how much I needed to go to one of these comic conventions.
Yeah.
And
wait, you hadn't been to those? Oh.
No. Prior MCFC 2012 was my first ever ComicCon, and so she finally convinced me to come. Mason Studios had a booth there and everything, and the rest is history. That's how I met Allan. That's how I met all you guys, and
that was the place I think I first saw No More Sorrows.
Oh yeah, one of the early films. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, a lot of networking happens at conventions, people. So you meet people, and it doesn't end there. Your lives will become intertwined, just as they have here.
They either become friends or hated foes
or deadly enemies, which is both entertaining, Yeah. So anyway, that's Josh Mason. Josh, we're going to be unpacking our history together here shortly. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, it is the history of the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention.
Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbert, and our special guest, Josh Mason from Mason Studios. And thank goodness you people don't hear what goes on off the air. There's a certain energy in the room. When Brandon is pushed for time and he has to get out of here, he becomes a different person.
It's true.
Give him a Snickers bar.
No. Here's the thing. Jeez. The guy you normally hear on the air, the guy you normally see, if you give him the Snickers bar, he turns into the Taskmaster too.
Okay. Hey guys, so if you're just tuning in, we mentioned that our buddy Josh Mason is intricately linked with the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. There's a history. You said your first convention was
MCFC 2012,
which was a great convention. That's the one when
Tom
we had
Kenny.
Yeah, Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob. So far, he's in the running between him and Dave Dasmalchian as our friendliest celebrity guests, right? I mean,
I would have to agree. Yeah. I mean,
hands down, one of the coolest people.
But
ever.
I'll also say that J. Michael Tatum's not that far behind them either. He was a great guy to have.
They're all we've had several. I mean, Jess Harnell's a super cool guy. But some people stand out. Yeah. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Tom talked to everybody, and David searched people out to talk to them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
David
Josh,
me down.
One thing we appreciate, and folks, if you go to YouTube, you can do this. If you if they want to see the highlight videos from a convention, what do they Google? Because those are really good. They're almost like music videos for our convention.
Oh, so. I appreciate it. Yeah, we do cosplay music videos for all the cons, and it's Mason Studios on YouTube. So if you search that up, there's in recent years, surprisingly, there have been a couple of other smaller channels that have started up that also have the name Mason Studios that are ran by like small little kids, and I'm too nice of a guy to, give a 7-year-old a cease and desist letter. So I'm just letting them run them. So if you look up Mason Studios on YouTube, it is the one with the highest subscriber count. That's the one you go to, and you can see all of our cosplay music videos from not only MCFC but Anime Blues, Mid-South Con, all the other local comic conventions, as well as some out-of-state cons.
Are there any videos of you from the Ren Fair? Because people need to see
Yes, the Renaissance Fair videos are on there. Our fan films, we've done several fan films based on video game series like Tomb Raider. Our Tomb Raider film is actually our most successful. It's got up to, I think, 130,000 views now.
Nice.
And we've got the sequel coming up.
I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a hint, though, when it comes to his fan film stuff. If you've got a smart TV, make sure your YouTube app is prepped and updated, and watch it on your smart TV. It looks like you're in a theater.
Yeah.
And you don't see that with a lot of fan films. You know,
Hey, I appreciate that.
I don't know if you do the editing or whoever, but
I do.
The use of filters is obvious.
Yeah.
In comparison to some of your cut footage.
His highlight videos look like that. I mean, he
puts a lot of work into it. I mean,
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it is a tremendous amount of work. I mean, not only the filming part of it, but then when I'm in the editing room, I'm literally editing for days on end, making sure that every little cut is perfect, even like down to the second.
Yeah.
And this is what has prepped you for what you've got coming up.
That's right.
Lots of work.
I have consistently had one compliment for you all of these years. Is if you said you'd get it done, you'd get it done.
Always. That's right.
And knowing what you have to go through to get some of this, shot, edited, confirmed, balanced, the sound, the syncing, the amount of work. And people don't realize that, you kind of downplaying Josh. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
No, that's
I understand what this man goes through to produce 2 or 3 minutes of varied content. So, when I say you can get it done, I want everybody to understand. I want witnesses. That is a huge compliment when it comes to especially shooting, editing, and finishing.
Yeah, Josh, I'll tell you this because I'm looking at you guys. You know this. How many people have come and gone through the convention promising us the moon, telling us all the great things they can do for us, and they drop the ball. They don't finish. They don't keep their word. You under-promise and over-deliver consistently,
every
Josh.
time.
So every time, man, we
appreciate
appreciate
that.
it. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys letting me do the stuff for the con. It's given me extra exposure, linking up with MCFC over the years and kind of help get the name of Mason Studios out there. And honestly, I think the MCFC video I did, I believe it was 2016, the one where we did the
mannequin challenge.
Mannequin challenge. That one really helped put me on the map in a big way. So I mean, the feeling's kind of mutual. It's like, I do. I agree with that. I put in a lot of work and everything, but at the same time, all that work is pointless if nobody's there to see it. So I appreciate you guys for kind of giving me a platform to get some of my stuff out there with.
Well, let's face it. A convention. You learned this early. You probably, you said you came to the first one in 2012. You've never been to one. I'm guessing as a filmmaker, the immediate thing that sprung to mind is, wow. This is a photo op of the century. You got hundreds of people, in costume.
I mean, it was borderline life changing. If I'm being honest, I don't think that's overstating it. And Allan, it's partially his fault because my initial reaction was, I'm coming down an escalator, and this is my first experience with a con ever. And I remember I was talking to somebody that was there trying to get an idea where I needed to go to get to like the vendor room and my table, and I was joking with them, saying, "Hey, do I take like a ride at the Stormtrooper?" And I was just saying that as like a joke. I wasn't serious. And as I'm going down the escalator, I see a Stormtrooper sitting there, and the guy comes over the phone and he's like, "Yeah, actually, Josh, you do take a ride at the Stormtrooper." And I was like, "Oh my god!" And then I get on the floor,
past the steampunk baby carriage over to the
but it's true because that was the first year we had the 501st doing the blasted trooper thing,
right?
And they had a guy by the the escalator to point you in the direction, because the blasted trooper was a thing that they were doing for charity. And they had a stormtrooper over there to direct you to where you needed to go.
Right, yeah.
They were security.
Well, then Allan grabs me up, him and Tanya grab me up and throw me into this room with literally thousands of children to do a panel on filmmaking, and I think it was like the stunt stuff that we do in movies.
Geek 101.
The fight choreography, all that.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, thanks to Allan, I get bombarded right after this panel by children all asking me for my autograph and everything.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I was hooked on cons.
You were sold.
I was like, I have found my home,
These are my people. These are my
that's
people.
right.
I want to say that, Josh, because, people may have this preconceived notion of what a convention is, or maybe they just don't even factor it in. But I'm telling you, I don't know anybody that's gone to a convention that doesn't love it. So if you're out there on the fence and you've never even thought of going, just go for a Saturday. I guarantee you're going to be back next year.
You got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Even if it turns out that it's not, your cup of tea, you're not going to say I didn't have a good time.
Well, it's something, Adam, for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not just, you don't just have to be a hardcore geek to really get into them.
And I want to give a lot of credit to Joe on this one. You experienced something at MCFC that you don't experience at a lot of conventions, and that's getting bombarded with children early on. Because one of the biggest missions of the MCFC since Joe first conceived it was to promote the arts amongst students.
Right.
We always wanted to make sure that everybody, realized, you don't have to go do the 9 to 5. You don't have to be stuck in a cubicle. You can let your creative process be your guide throughout life.
Yeah.
And that starts with arts in school.
Yeah, because we're big promoters of the arts here, and I won't get on my soapbox, but I hate the fact that arts are like the first thing to get cut in the school budget, because that's, arts are what make us human, man.
Yeah.
So it's like, and of course you're a big promoter of that too, Josh. So yeah, so we became friends. We've worked together, and Josh has a good attitude, which I like. He doesn't say no to a lot of stuff. He does it with a smile. When things are falling apart in the vendor room or there's some disaster that was unanticipated, he's that calm, reassuring, I can take care of this, don't worry.
It's kind of like, this will make great footage.
Absolutely.
This is total B-roll.
When that HDMI cable is missing 30 seconds before a movie's about to be rolled,
He's got
in the
12 in his case.
Yeah, he's like,
or if I don't, I know a guy who does.
Yeah. So you've been through the trenches with us in there. So Josh, we're going to be taking a quick break in a quick minute, but you've got a little a surprise to tell us about. Right?
Yeah, I'm excited to tell you guys about it.
Okay, so he's diving into the mix as well. He's not content any longer to be an attendee at a convention.
No, not at all.
He is about to be. He is a founder of a convention that we're going to tell you all about.
Didn't have enough pain in your life, huh?
That's right. Need it more.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. So, and we're going to consider this the sister convention of the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. So we're going to tell you about that after the break. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth, and our other buddy, Josh Mason from Mason Studios, the founder of a convention we're about to announce here momentarily, and an old friend of not only Geek Tank Radios, but the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. We gave a brief history of how our paths crossed.
And you bringing up his history with Geek Tank Radio, I remember we had just moved into a new studio during our second iteration, and Josh was in there trying to figure out how to set up cameras.
Oh, yeah. It was,
Yeah. So, Josh, you've been, and it was fun hearing the story of what your experience was at your very first convention, and we're honored that ours was the first one you went to, but it was life-changing, and we promise it's going to be life-changing if you've never been to a convention. It's fun, but apparently you've got the bug, and now we can announce here on Geek Tank Radio about your new enterprise.
That's right. So me, my brother Jerry Mason, who's also known as the Kickin' Lawyer from Covington, Tennessee, and
that fits.
That's right. Yeah. And Tara Thompson, who owns Theo and Rose Ice Cream Parlor, also located in Covington, Tennessee. The three of us have partnered together and are putting on Covington ComicCon on August 14th. In Covington, Tennessee. So, awesome. Like you said, it's going to be a sister convention to Memphis Comic and Fantasy, very Memphis Comic and Fantasy inspired. We're going to have two locations. So the daytime location is going to be Liberty Hall in Covington, Tennessee. $5 entry to get you in there. That's going to be the vendor room, and then we'll have some special events going on there. And then that evening, we're going to have all of our big panels. We're going to be screening one of my fan films. We're going to have the big adult costume contest and all that. That's going to be that night at the official historic Ruffin Theater in Covington. It's also $5 entry. So $10 gets you access to the entire event. So I'm super excited about it. We've gotten a lot of buzz from everybody about it. I think we're going to have a pretty solid turnout for it. So.
Oh yeah, people are craving to get to convention. We saw that at Anime Blues Con a month ago. Just and there is an energy, you guys, right? I mean, we were in our promo booth. It was different than before.
It was kind of weird. We all kind of went in there and we had this weird malaise, and I mean, because we're coming off of all of the pandemic, lockdowns and everything, and it was just good for the soul to see all the people who were there. And, you had your vaccinated folks who were unmasked. You had people who were willing to wear their masks. And then, of course, you had your cosplayers who had managed to take the mask and, basically weave it within their costume. So even if that character didn't have a costume, the mask was definitely fitting to the cosplay.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And it was so good to see everybody back together. And, we need more of that.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about August now.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's a great slot. It kind of fills that space that the Ren Fair used to be in back when we had the Mid-South Ren Fair, so it's kind of fallen right in that area. So I'm super excited about it. We got some great guests. We've got TikTok celebrities. We got Tyler Huth So if anybody knows who he is, he's like a motivational speaker, and also I call him like a young Gary V. He's all about like positivity and motivation and like how can you be a successful entrepreneur and all that. But he's got a really big following on TikTok, so he's coming in from Florida and going to be one of our main guests. We've got Santiago Cirillo, the actor from The Walking Dead. I know
we know Santiago.
Yeah, he was at MCFC one year, so he's going to be there. We got Bluff City Batman bringing out the Batmobile, the DeSoto County Ghostbusters bringing out the
89 Batmobile, just declare the one that's almost impossible to drive. Right. It's like 25 feet long.
That's right. So if you've never seen a Batmobile in real life, you can come get your photo with that. Like I said, DeSoto County Ghostbusters bringing out the Ecto-1. We've got somebody bringing a DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Nice.
So I think my brother's the one with that contact. When he told me, I was like, yes, because I'm a huge Back to the Future fan.
Is it functional? Can we actually travel in time, Josh?
I hope so. I really hope it is. Yeah.
He wants to go back an extra couple of years so he has more prep time for.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I always need more prep time. So I mean, it's going to be a lot going on. We got Peter Prankster, who's another TikTok celebrity local to the Memphis area. And then, of course, Historical Haunts will be there. So we got a lot of vendors, a lot of comic book vendors, a lot of people will be selling toys, collectibles, all the usual convention stuff. So hopefully it'll be a good time. I hope to see a lot of people there.
Well, we need all of our Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention attendees to rally to support, because if you like our convention, Josh is part of that same family, and so why not?
I think I even stole the MCFC font, if I'm not mistaken, Joe. I kept waiting on your lawyers to show up because I think I'm even using the same font for Covington ComicCon.
Hey, that's good branding there, Brandon.
Hey,
that's right.
Hey, just get with me after your first con. I'll redo your logo.
Yeah.
So that you do look like you belong to us.
Okay, Josh, I'm intrigued though. You said it's 2 locations. For one thing, what are okay? Well, how far apart are these locations?
They're literally
I got a plan for dinner.
So. Oh, no, I hear you. So here's the good news. They're literally within walking distance.
Okay,
so both locations are on the Covington Square. The Ruffin Theater is physically on the very top of the square, and then Liberty Hall is down at the base of Covington Square.
Okay, so you just park and walk.
Literally, yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to have some food trucks on site. So you literally, all you got to do is you can walk from one location, go get your food from food truck, and then go to the other.
You just made Joe super happy.
I've never had a bad experience at a food truck, knock on wood. It's always they get their niche food and it's always delicious.
I've had a bad experience with a food truck, and that's only because the guy didn't put chocks on the back of the trailer and it started to roll back. And we had to get out of the way really quick because my truck was parked not too far behind it.
If you're at a convention, food trucks rock. Those are the best. They're going to make a fortune.
Food trucks in general are awesome.
Yeah. So what are we going to see when we walk in the door there, and then we'll figure out what we're going to see in the evening. So what do you see when you walk in?
So
in
Liberty Hall is primarily our vendor room. We're going to have a few events. There's a stage there as well, so we'll have a few events throughout the day, but they're kind of going to be some of the smaller events. Like I think we're going to have the child's costume contest during the day. We've got John Pica's bringing the Cereal Box podcast down, so he'll be doing that there at the vendor room. And then, of course, we got like Eric's Secret Stash. Jupiter Comics is going to have a booth. Hall of Heroes from Ripley, Tennessee, their comic book store there. They're going to have a vendor table. A lot of different vendors we got. And then, of course, that night when we move everybody over to the Ruffin, that's going to start around 5 p.m. We're going to have the adult costume contest. Then we're going to have some panels where we have like Q&A with some of the guests, and then we're going to be screening the sequel to my Tomb Raider fan film from 2 years ago.
Good deal.
So Tomb Raider Power of Atlantis is going to be having its world premiere August 14th at Covington ComicCon.
Wait a minute.
Hey, sweet.
Yeah. Talk about burying the lead. We just mentioned that now. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to.
These are usually big events.
That's more my event, but I didn't want to oversell that.
See, the thing was he didn't want you to realize that he was going to do it early instead of he usually holds these for MCFC.
Okay,
so
that's true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
but
it's fair game. It's your convention.
Yeah.
So
well, next year, see what I got to do is I got to produce 2 movies so I can have one screen at Covington ComicCon and then the other at MCFC. So,
we can just call it an encore. Y'all have space.
Yeah.
And folks, if you're new to conventions, the other thing, do not miss the vendor rooms. Vendor rooms are great, man. You can buy things that you can't buy anywhere.
I
online.
I cannot tell you how many times that going through the vendor room on Sunday at MCFC was basically me Christmas shopping for everybody else a month later.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, vendor rooms are great.
Yes, vendor rooms are your friend. Well, they may not be your pocketbook's friend, but they are your friend.
Yeah, they steal a lot of my money at cons. They take a lot of money out of my pocket. And I don't have no regrets about it either,
Yeah, but at least now
Well, all right, let's face it. You're going to find that item.
That's right.
You know, and everybody's got that one person they need to buy something for, and you're going to find that item. This is going to be their favorite character, or it's going to be their favorite movie, or it's going to be a button, or it's going to be their favorite flavor of soap, candle. That I mean, you got to just run out of the thing. It's like having an Etsy store explode into one spot.
Oh, it really is, yeah.
And being able to walk through it and see it and touch it, and better yet, probably even talk to the artist.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to step away from the artist, angle and go, hey guys, those of you who are like hitting every Target every morning to try and find that Skelegod or GI Joe figure that you can't find anywhere else, there's more than likely going to be a vendor at a con. You may spend a little more for it than retail price, but think of how much gas money you're going to save.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's nice to just, there it is. It's in the booth.
Yeah.
I pick it up and I pay for it. And generally the prices are pretty good,
Dude,
too.
I don't know how many times, and you brought up Eric's Secret Stash. I don't know how many times I've walked into his booth and found something that I had spent the past 6 months looking for.
Oh, that man has so much cool stuff.
And he's got it for a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I will speak for somebody else here. Most of the time, if you walk into a convention with something that you think is pretty cool, it's not unheard of that you might work out a trade with somebody. I'm thinking of Eric's Secret Stash.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's all sorts of wheeling and dealing that goes on that you don't get at your big box store.
That's true. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Well, hey, we're a month out, man. How are the how are you sleeping?
Not very well. So I do of course I do the Mason Studio stuff, and I've had like videos for clients. That's been picking back up post COVID, so I've been having a lot of that going on. I'm also the marketing director for HMRS, which is my brother's law firm, the Kicking Lawyer, and we have a podcast that we do called Law Talk. We do every Tuesday evening. So I'm the producer of that, and do similar to what you guys do here. And then, of course, we're now getting ready for this Comic-Con. So, yeah, I'm averaging about, 4 hours of sleep. Something like that.
Wait, you're still getting 4 hours and you're a month out?
Yeah, somehow.
Oh, well, it's year one. He doesn't realize.
That's right. Yeah, next year it'll be like, maybe one or two
there
hours.
You go.
Ignorance is bliss.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah. But hey, I'm sitting here looking. You already have the tickets printed out.
Oh, we've already got the tickets. Yeah, we're already rocking and rolling.
Better than I did.
They're already available on, if you go to the website, it's CovingtonComicCon.com. You can go ahead and buy your tickets in advance. If you don't want to do that, of course, you can also buy them at the door. So.
Okay, so real quick, so before we go to break, it's CovingtonComicCon.com.
That's right.
Where else can they find you?
They can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. We've got a really cool promo video up on the Facebook page, and then you can also look at a list of all of our guests. And pretty soon we're going to be releasing our list of vendors. So if you want to look
you're going to list them? And any space left if somebody out
there's
there?
a couple. So, yeah, we do have a couple of slots left. Not many. They're going pretty quick. So if there's any vendors out there that are interested, just go to the website, and you can find a vendor form on there, fill it out, and submit it. And we'll be happy to have any vendors.
Awesome. This is cool, man. It's fun watching somebody else plan and not sleep besides me.
Oh, yeah. No, you're not too far off. Give me a couple months, you'll be stressing.
Absolutely. Well, we hope you're not stressing listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, wrap things up a bit, but we are going to weigh in on the What If series by Disney+.
Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our pal Josh Mason from Mason Studios, and now the co-founder, I suppose, of Covington ComicCon, the sister convention to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. Wait, do we want to attach our name to an unknown product?
No.
At this point?
What we're going to refer to them right now?
Wise?
They're a distant cousin con.
That's
okay.
right.
Yeah,
well, next year, after it's a success, then it'll be a sister convention.
Yeah, then we ride your coattails. But but Josh is an old pal of ours. If you're just tuning in, we've known Josh since 2012. And Allan's worked with him professionally.
That's right.
Wait, is it professionally if they buy you a Subway sandwich and
I bought lunch. I bought lunch. Wait a minute.
That was the whole movie's budget, right? There was that Subway sandwich.
That's been a running joke for years.
You mentioned the fact that Allan's worked with him. Technically, a handful of us have worked with Josh. We've sat at his booth while he set up a wonderful CGI representation of an alien destroying a photo booth in front of him.
That's true.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah. Right from my cell phone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Josh is getting ambitious. He's not content to just go to conventions throughout the year. He wants to run his own convention. So, Covington ComicCon. It's interesting because I wonder how many people locally. That's what, 30 minutes outside of Memphis or something?
It's about 45. So we're
Okay.
actually going to be pulling from about 3 different markets. I guess 4 if you count Jackson, because we're going to have, of course, a lot of the Memphis people are going to be there that I've met over the years and networked with. We've got, of course, Covington and Tipton County, that whole area, and then Dyersburg. We'll be having a lot of people come from the Dyersburg area, and then Jackson. So, I mean, I expect us to have a pretty strong turnout, and there seems to be a lot of early buzz going on about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say anything about taking advantage of the current situation, but if you're going to launch a convention, this is the year to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Everybody's
people are
ready.
starving.
Yeah, they're
for-
ready.
Yeah. They want in on that. So yeah. So once again, before we move along, Josh, how do people find out about Covington ComicCon?
Yep, CovingtonComicCon.com. You can go ahead and get your tickets there. If not, you can get them at the door on August 14th. We're going to be at Liberty Hall in Covington, Tennessee, and then our nighttime location for our night events is at the Ruffin Theater. $5 entry for both locations, and if you want to look at our guest lineup as well as our vendor lineup, which we'll be announcing here shortly, both of those you can find on the Facebook page, and then we also have an Instagram page.
Yeah, and we'll keep people posted, and of course we're going to be there. So if you wanna say hi to us, and also real quick, Brandon, if somebody's got a bad geek confession, we are still on the lookout for those.
We are still looking out for those. I want to debut our bad geek confession stuff before we get to Covington ComicCon.
Yeah,
but if not, we will definitely be on hand with the bucket for people to submit theirs there as well.
Yeah, hurl in the bucket with your.
I've actually got one of those. I've got a bad geek confession that y'all will probably run me out of the room for.
Well, yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. Is it funny?
It's clean, right?
It's clean. Oh yeah. It might make people angry though when they hear
Well,
it.
let's do this. This will be an example because, folks, basically, if you one of the new segments that is going to be ongoing, we hope, is the bad geek confession. Just tell us how you failed as a geek, and if we read your bad geek confession on the air, you'll win 2 free passes to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. And Brandon, where do they send those bad geek confessions?
You can send those bad geek confessions directly to us at geektankradio@gmail.com, or you can just post them to our Facebook page.
Okay.
The problem is if you post them to the Facebook page, everybody's already going to know it. We won't read that one necessarily on the air, and you won't win free passes to this year's Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention.
Yeah.
And that's what you really want, because we are giving away 2 3-day passes to anybody whose bad geek confession we read on the air.
Yeah, an $80 value. So Josh, let's get an example. So, and the good thing is we don't have to give Josh anything because he already gets in for free.
That's right. Yeah. So
all right. So what's your bad geek confession?
So don't run me out of the studio for saying this. But I recently got on a big John Carpenter kick watching his movies because there's a lot that I had not seen, and I love Halloween, love The Thing. He's got a lot of classics there. Finally broke down and watched Big Trouble in Little China. Did not like it. And so,
knowing you, I can even tell you why you didn't like it.
Well, why does that? Explain it to me, because I don't even know why I didn't like it.
Because you would have done it bigger, badder, and faster.
Maybe. I don't know. I've talked. That's probably true. I've talked to some other friends that were like really big fans of it, and they told me like, you got to turn in your nerd card if you don't like that movie.
No, it's all right.
But they said the reason is because the movie, it follows a sidekick in the lead role.
It does.
That the lead character, Kurt Russell's character, is actually a sidekick. And once looking at it from that perspective, I think I understood it a little bit more. But I still and all these years, I just heard about how great of a movie it was, and it had such big play up with everybody about how great of a film. It's a classic. And all
it
this.
was at its time,
right?
Because there was no CGI.
Yeah.
There was no the big special effect was a dude blowing up like a balloon and then bursting. So
that might have been what it was. It may have been the special effects that really turned me off. I don't know.
I'm going to do you
However,
one better, Josh.
James Hong should have gotten an Oscar.
I will agree there. I will agree. He did really good in the movie. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you wanted a bad guy, I'm all about the villain. We all know I'm all about the villain. It had a great villain.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But everything else was so cheesy.
I can cut you some slack on that, Josh. Now, if you were to say something like, I don't like The Princess Bride, we would run you out of the room for that.
I love The Princess Bride.
No, see, this would be.
I'd say that's a mediocre. We want something juicier, people, but good effort.
That's a good one. I think that's a good geek confession,
knowing Josh Mason, the only thing I would have run him out of the studio is if he goes, man, I really love The Greatest Showman, but From Now On is the worst song in the whole movie.
There is not a bad song in that film.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
But that would have been the only thing I would have run you out of the studio.
Okay, so people, your challenge is to do better than that, which won't be hard. No offense, Josh.
Take it.
and you'll get your free passes to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. So send those to geektankradio@gmail.com. Guys, I don't want to leave before we chime in on the trailer for the What If series that came out for Disney Plus. Once again, proving that we are never canceling our subscription. We're gonna we're gonna keep it going. But in fairness, hey, they're giving us good stuff. So they're earning their paycheck.
I don't get a paycheck from Darth Mickes, but I will say that Disney Plus is one I'm not canceling.
Yeah.
Netflix is on the bubble at the moment. But,
I got Hulu on my chopping block, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably be cutting it.
Hulu just debuted American Horror Stories, and after getting burned for so many seasons on the regular show, the anthology's got me.
Okay.
It's hooked me in so far.
Well, hey, Brandon, I will say this, because when it comes to the comics, there's the What If comics, which is basically they take any question and they say, like, what if? What if the Hulk was, such and such? What if Wolverine had done this? Well, and they do the same thing with DC Comics with their Elseworlds. In the comics, I do have to admit I prefer the Elseworlds, but in terms of an animated, I think it's really cool that they're going out on this limb. But it also feels to me like they're tying in the whole multiverse thing. Our beloved producer behind the glass, Maximilian, was discussing how it's not the Infinity Stones anymore; it's the multiverse, which is going to open it up to. Or were you the one discussing
that? It's the Favreau-verse?
Yeah.
No, it's the
the Filoni-verse. It's what do we call it now?
Verse.
Which one is it?
But
it's some genius whose name starts with an F. Is all I got to say.
But the trailer was cool.
I can tell you when it comes down to it, Earth, the various dimensions on for Marvel, they're numbered just like at DC. The one that we've been following in the comics for years was Earth 616. The MCU is a different Earth from that. What we're going to get to see in What If are all those wonderful worlds. And if they don't have Uatu host it, though, I will cancel my Disney. I'm kidding there, but Uatu, he was basically your narrator for the What If comics.
The one I'm keeping an eye on was they teased Killmonger working with Tony Stark. Because Killmonger is awesome. Yeah. So I'm going to be watching that one with great interest. I saw him riding a rhino, and I saw Sharon Carter as Captain Britain. What is she? Captain?
She's technically, they're referring to her as Captain Carter at this point because Captain Britain is actually a mystical mantle, so you don't really run off with that because the BBC will sue you.
Yeah. Okay.
But
wait, so
the one that's really got me is Yondu picking up young T'Challa instead of Peter Quill, and T'Challa becoming Star-Lord.
My confession is I can't stand Yondu.
I don't care who you can stand. I can't stand half the people you love.
All right.
But when it comes down to it, and the lines for T'Challa were recorded before Chadwick Boseman passed.
Oh, so that's because it sounded just like him. So, all right. Well, awesome. So we'll be keeping our eye on that. Josh, thanks for coming in, man. We will definitely be weighing in on the Covington ComicCon as the days unfold. But guys, we're out of time. So you've been listening to another action-packed episode of Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We will see you next week.